Hello everybody, this is Kirby over yonder, and just a few months ago, I started watching the show Community. And must I say, holy crap, this show is so good, where has this been all my life? Upon first glance, Community may seem like a very typical sitcom about a group of misfits going to college together and getting into wacky shenanigans. However, the show quickly subverts that with tons of genre parody episodes that go very high concept. Seriously, if you're a huge nerd when it comes to TV and movie tropes like I am, you've gotta watch this show. But to go along with that, each one of the main characters is likable in their own way. And they all play off of each other really well, making for a legendary cast of characters. And these characters aren't just joke machines either. Each member of the study group has a ton of depth to them, and they all grow as people as the show goes on. And in fact, a lot of the high-concept episodes have an emotional core to them that helps ground the episode. For example, the episode Advanced Dungeons & Dragons doubles as not just a really fun Dungeons & Dragons episode, but a look at how a game like Dungeons & Dragons can help people deal with depression and mental illness. The show is never just one thing, it's able to balance out its comedy with its heart. Community has tons of fantastic episodes, but today I want to talk about the series finale, Emotional Consequences of Broadcast Television. Not necessarily because it's my favorite episode. I mean, come on, it's pretty hard to beat Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas and Remedial Chaos Theory, but because it was able to resonate with me in a way that not a lot of other media does. But I'll get into that later on in the video. Also because those other two episodes are talked about to death, and I don't really hear as many people talk about the finale. So with that said, this is Emotional Consequences of Broadcast Television. So the episode begins on the last day of school for that particular school year. We then get to see a bunch of different locations throughout Greendale, and there's something very melancholic about this. It gives off a true sense of finality. We then cut to the study group. The group decides that they're going to go to Britta's bar to celebrate the last day of school and Greendale being saved. Oh yeah, in Season 5 they start this whole Save Greendale committee. It's not really relevant to this episode though. However, Elroy, a character introduced earlier on in Season 6, says that he can't join them because he got a job at LinkedIn and has to move to California. Abed asks him whether or not he'll come back next year, and Elroy responds with, I think so, probably, maybe. An interesting response for sure. Anyways, after the theme song, we cut to the group inside Britta's bar. All except Annie, who is currently at an interview. Jeff mentions that it's been 6 years since they've started the study group, which causes Britta to claim that it's been 6 seasons. A reference to Abed's 6 seasons in a movie quote from earlier in the series. Abed replies to this by saying that he doesn't think a Season 7 is very likely. Yeah, in case you didn't know, Community is a very meta show. To the point where in a lot of episodes, Abed will point blank say, this is what we're parodying this week. These are the tropes we're using. It's a style of humor that definitely trickled down into Dan Harmon's later show, Rick and Morty. Anyways, Abed mentioning this causes each member of the study group to share what their hypothetical Season 7 would look like. Told you the show was meta. This becomes the main crux of the episode, and it's a lot of fun getting to see all of the different ideas the group has for a Season 7. It's great that Shirley gets a cameo, and we also get a wacky Justin Roiland character. Oh boy, I sure do love me some funny Justin Roiland humor. Oh man, it's classic that Justin Roiland with his improvisational humor and his wacky characters. I sure do want to be like him one day. After a few hypotheticals, Annie comes back, stating that her interview was a success and that she got an internship at the FBI. Britta asks if she can take her bedroom if she doesn't come back, to which Annie replies with, well, I'm definitely coming back. Probably. Maybe. Very similar to what Elroy said before when he was asked the same question. We then get to see a hypothetical in Jeff's mind that he doesn't share out loud, where all of the study group is replaced by background characters we see throughout the series. It's a funny scene, no doubt, but also a very interesting look into Jeff's psyche. He's afraid that all of his friends are just going to move on and leave him behind. He's afraid that everyone else will grow up and he'll just stay at Greendale. We get a few more pitches, and then Abed gives this very melancholic speech about TV, stating that the best TV shows aren't the ones that are trying to push some big agenda or message, but just the ones that are trying to show you a fun time. The ones that feel effortless. The ones that are there for you when you need them most. And that it's okay for them to have a bad day, because at the end of the day, TV is comfort. Being on the autism spectrum, Abed doesn't always have an easy time understanding other people's emotions, or his own for that matter, and thus usually filters said emotions through TV and movie references. It's clear that Abed isn't just talking about TV here, but about his friends, which becomes even more obvious with his last line about leaving on a boat with LeVar Burton, a reference to Troy leaving the show the season before. This inspires Jeff to give his effortless pitch, where everyone stays at Greendale, but instead of being students, they're all teachers. This is clearly the most ideal outcome for Jeff, but it's also very unrealistic for him to expect all of his friends to just stay at Greendale and not move on with their lives. Jeff tells the group that he wants to make this pitch a reality, which is when Abed reveals that he's moving to Los Angeles to work on a TV show. Then Jeff asks if Abed will be coming back next year, to which Abed replies with, maybe, probably, maybe. Just like what Elroy said, and just like what Annie said. This is when it truly settles in for Jeff that his friends, the people he's known since the beginning of the show, are growing up. We then get a scene of Jeff choking and killing a bunch of Abeds. It's a funny scene for sure, but also very sad. Jeff views Abed as someone who's betraying him just for wanting to move on from Greendale. I'm actually not 100% sure about what this scene is supposed to represent, but it's definitely a scene that sticks in my head. After this, Jeff leaves and goes back to Greendale. When we cut back to Greendale, we just see Jeff standing there, staring at the table, knowing that he and his friends will never have a meeting there again. It kinda makes the scene from earlier feel a lot more sad in hindsight, knowing that they were all so eager to leave, but most of them will never come back. Then we cut to a scene inside of Jeff's head again, with Jeff and Annie living together. They even have a child. When Jeff is about to kiss Annie, she pulls her head away and asks Jeff if this is really what he wants. Jeff says that whatever she wants is fine with him, to which Annie replies with, "But do you even know what I want?" Jeff replies with, "Yes." You see, Jeff and Annie have a bit of a will they won't they relationship throughout the series. The show constantly hints that the two have romantic interest in each other, and yet they never actually get together. And now it's too late. Because neither of them were brave enough to confess to the other how they feel, this life that Jeff wants, the life that he could have, will forever just be in his head. Afterwards, Annie comes into the study room, and Jeff has an interesting conversation with her about what he wants. He wants to be in his 20s again, and not have any responsibilities or worries or cares. But Annie tells him that she wishes that she was wise and had all this experience. But much like how Annie needs to accept that she's younger and needs time to fully grow as a person, Jeff needs to accept the fact that he's older now and, in Annie's words, let the kid stuff go. Jeff says that he let Annie go, and the two kiss. Then the rest of the study group comes in, and Frankie suggests that they all imagine what their personal Season 7s would be like in their heads. We then cut to Jeff giving the same speech he gave to the study group in episode 1, but to a bunch of redheads. But at the end, Jeff says that someday they'll all move on and be replaced by other people, but that he'll be okay with that he's grown to the point where he can accept the fact that people will eventually leave. And this is why this episode is so important to me. You see, I'm currently in my senior year of high school, which means that very soon, a lot of my friends, the people I grew up with, and even myself will be moving on, will be leaving, going to college, getting a job, and we might not see each other for a while, if ever. It's kind of scary, and it makes me feel a little uncertain about the future. This episode helps me cope with the idea of me and my friends moving away and not being able to see each other for a while. Because I know that there will be more opportunities for me in the future, that I can possibly make new friends, and that maybe I'll see my old friends again sometimes. Jeff tells the group how much he cares about them and how much they've helped him over the years, and the group hugs as Chang comes out as gay. And this next scene is truly something special. It's a scene of Jeff dropping off Annie and Abed at the airport. No words are spoken, but you can tell what the characters are thinking. Jeff gives Annie a hug and then proceeds to hug Abed. Jeff then stares at Abed and hugs him again. Jeff and Abed are the first two characters we see interact in Community and are probably the two most important characters in the show. While at first Jeff dismisses Abed as a dork, he begins to grow a likeness for him as the series goes on. And if it weren't for the two of them, there likely wouldn't even be a study group. And without the study group, Jeff would most likely be a very different person. It's like the first hug is him saying goodbye, and the second hug is him saying thank you. And no, I did not steal that from a YouTube comment, thank you. You can even tell here that Abed is sort of confused as to why Jeff is hugging him again, but also comforted knowing that he's had this much of an effect on Jeff's life. Like I said before, this isn't the best or even really my favorite episode of Community. However, it's not only just as funny as most other episodes, but it's impacted me in a way that not a lot of other pieces of fiction do. It's honestly helped me a lot, and I'm sure it will continue to help me for years to come. Please watch Community if you haven't yet, it's such a good show. And have a very good day. Kirby, out.